that don't know me, I know pretty much everybody here. So, but just a little recap. I've been here most of my life. I grew up here. Moved here from Spring. So, born in St. Louis. Moved here when I was 5 to Springfield, and then I moved to Willard in 4th grade. So I've been here since I was 11 years old. So I'm 28 now. So I've been here a while. A little bit about my background there. I've worked in and around Willard most of my life. So started out at Murphin's Market here in town, just right up the road. Obviously it's Apple Market now, but that's where I started working. That was my first job, and after that, started working at Great Southern Bank here in town, and then also worked for Commerce Bank, and I was there for about 7 years. So, I love this town. This is, my home, and this is a place where I've invested a lot of my time. Also served on the board of Alderman for 5 years, and then for mayor 2 consecutive terms. So all in all, roughly about 7 years of municipal government experience. So I am proud of that, and that is something that I do enjoy. And a big focus of mine whenever I was in office was to grow the community. At the time we'd hired an economic development advisor and had some plans in place. And obviously some of those effects is going to be Brewco that's coming in. So they'll be opening up their doors hopefully in the next year. I don't know, but we'll see. But they'll be coming in, and when it comes to priorities, so there's a lot of things that are in terms of infrastructure that's needed here in town. So we have an aging infrastructure system, and so one of the things that we need to be able to do is increase income for the city. And cities primarily derive their funds through sales tax revenue. And so big focus of mine, continued focus is going to be commercial development. So that way we can get some additional sales tax revenue, and so in turn we're able to do things that the citizens expect, right? People want to have good roads, people want to have a good wastewater system, and they want to be able to just live life, right? So that's going to be a continued focus of mine. Again, this is a pretty informal event, so ask me any questions that you might have, and kind of go from there.
I've heard talk about maybe becoming part of a multi-state biking trail. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Multi-state biking trail.
Biking walking trail, yes. Tying the Frisco Trail into that.
It was going to go through Louisiana, because we were in one of the meetings in Willard a while back, and they were talking about that they were going to have a bike trail from Louisiana
They're hoping
through
to get
Arkansas, through us, and all the way up towards more north.
I'm hoping that we would become part of a larger trail, but I don't know how much would be involved in that, or if we would be selected, or anyway.
Yeah, well, I think that'd be cool if we were. Obviously, the trail, the Greenway Trail system brings a lot of bikers and a lot of people that walk through and enjoy.
I think this goes through Clinton, I think, or more.
Yeah, it's what is that? 25 miles in length or something like that, roughly. It's a pretty long trail. So. I think that'd be cool, but I would assume that'd probably be the Greenway Trail system that would mainly deal with that, because we are separate entities. But yeah, cool. That'd be cool.
What type of commercial businesses would you like to see in the area? Like, what type of industries do you believe will it benefit from?
That's a good question. So really anything that can bring in additional sales tax revenue. So heck, even if we got an Aldi's, right?
Yes.
That'd be sweet, right?
Yeah.
There, anything that can, even restaurants or any type of, fast food, right? A Wendy's, right?
Jack in the Box.
Yeah, exactly, right? Jack in the Box would be cool.
We did a trip to Sullivan or Cuba just for Jack in the Box and come back one
Really?
Saturday. Yeah, we love it so much.
See, I've never been to Jack in the Box, so.
We used to have them in California. I know they have them in St. Louis, Kansas City.
Okay. Yeah.
I just grew up on Jack in the Box.
You
That's the reason why.
You ever been to Church's Chicken?
Yeah, there was one in Pasadena.
Yes.
Took them 20 years to make spicy chicken, but I love their biscuits.
Yes.
Biscuits.
Oh,
Best ones.
Swiss honey, yeah.
And the chili cheese
Those
poppers.
biscuits are good. Those biscuits.
I got some from Kansas City last week. I was like, I got it.
Church's Chicken, yeah. it's been in our corner for a long time growing up, and I didn't know it was in Texas, because they never mentioned Texas, just says Church's Chicken. And
Okay.
you used to get the white box with the little,
Mhm.
and that's it, and then you got your okra and your corn, and you're good to
Voila,
go.
you're good
Yeah.
to go.
Sam, what would you do different that's not being done now as far as encouraging economic development, especially in light of the fact that we no longer have an economic development department? The board eliminated that a few months ago.
Yes, so finding an economic developer and someone that's experienced is not like an easy feat. It's not like you just have 100 of them just waiting around trying to like get a job somewhere. I'm not entirely sure what that would look like from a recruitment standpoint. Whenever Greg was hired, he had worked for the city of Springfield, and so or not city of Springfield, but Springfield Chamber of Commerce, and so he's a local guy. So in order to be able to find someone else to fill that role, there are some regional economic co-ops that you can join that can provide you with additional information. But we would just kind of need to go back to the drawing board, and I'd need to meet with the board and kind of see what we could put together. Obviously, we have a new city administrator now, so talking with them and really being able to get everybody on the same page with what we're trying to work on, right? Because ultimately, we're all in this together, right? It's kind of cheesy, but we are, right? Like, this is our town, and if we're not growing, we're dying, right? And if we don't start thinking about those things seriously now, in the next few years, and I say few, let's say 5 to 10 years, then you could, check with the city in terms of where we are at financially, but we're gonna have to start making some changes in terms of where the budget's at. So, obviously it's been a little bit since I've been out, so I don't know entirely, what that budget looks like. I'd have to look at that again. Yeah, we're just gonna have to kind of play it by ear and see what we can do.
Are you opposed to a big box store? Doesn't necessarily have to be Target or Walmart, but something where you think your revenue is a big stream of income here?
So what kind of big box store are you thinking? Just any?
If I threw Walmart, oh my God, it's another Walmart. But I'm saying, sometimes Target or something where you have things to track here, because I know this is the gateway, the way towards out of Springfield, and since you got the airport near here, so you kind of make a bigger attraction type.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that type of growth. The thing is, that you also have to think about too, is whenever companies are looking for places to go, they also look for rooftops, right? So what's the population of the community? What's the surrounding population? And one of the issues that we have right now when it comes to our infrastructure is there's areas that are, essentially blocked off from growth because we're at capacity, in different areas in town. So in order to do that, we've got to invest heavily into our wastewater systems and being able to repair that. And there's funding that's coming that's going to be working on some different things, like upgrading the pipe from Willard to Springfield. Some different infrastructure project money through ARPA and that sort of thing. So that sort of thing is already being worked on. At least it was whenever I was leaving. I would assume it's probably being picked up in the same manner. Because a lot of the same staff is still there. So, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But we also have to balance, commercial growth with also getting additional rooftops up. So that way we can attract the right type of business. But even with that, you need somebody that's essentially marketing Willard. That's what the economic development advisor does, right? They go out, they talk to business owners, they have those connections, and they're able to bring people in. So that is, that's going to be, kind of a top priority of mine, is figuring out, okay, we say we want this growth, we say we want to be able to have, nicer things, and everybody wants nicer things, but it comes at a cost, and you have to be able to put the right people in place that's going to be able to guide the city where it needs to go. So,
Sam, kind of going back to the infrastructure questions and topic, I know that the current board, whenever the economic developer was let go, it's never been super clear, but it has been alluded to that, oh, well, we just don't have the infrastructure to support it, and that's, I know I'm not the only person in this room that got that answer. And so, you know, I know we need to work on our infrastructure, but an economic developer that, I mean, it doesn't go hand in, I mean, what is your thoughts on that as being a reason why we got rid of the economic developer? Why the city chose to do that?
Hi.
Hi.
The assistant mayor.
Come on in if you guys want to. Yeah. So just so I can kind of recap your question. So it was because, so your question is do we have the money essentially to afford an economic development advisor with the, or what's the?
No, I don't think that's my question. I think my question is what are your thoughts of letting the economic developer go with really the reason being, there's no infrastructure to support growth, because I think that's what has been alluded to. I have never been able to get a clear answer from the city. Hey, why was the economic developer let go? It's always been met with just a kind of a blind eye and not giving a direct answer, but I know other people in this room have gotten answers that allude to that. Well, we don't have the infrastructure to support that, and I don't know that that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can't really speak on the reasons why he was let go. I wasn't there, during that time. But in terms of what I think we need in order to be able to bring in additional revenue, that is going to allow us to be able to repair our infrastructure, I think an economic development advisor is vital to that, because they're gonna be the ones bringing in the type of business that we need to be able to do that. But as far as why he was let go, I'll leave that with the people that made that decision. So.
Thank you.
You mentioned that ARPA funds, are there other grants that might be available, or grants that might be available, and anyone who'd be doing grant writing research?
Yes, so there are a lot of grants available through federal government, generally. The thing is you've got to know what grants you're looking for, right? So, perfect example of this would be the park that's going in, which I believe, June 15th is that date, the opening date for that. So, the city initially got awarded, so whenever all this stuff was going on, had a conversation with an individual that was getting all this stuff going. And when he's also a grant writer. And so he partnered with our parks director, Jason, and they both were able to write grants, and different area organizations were able to donate. And so we also worked with the county, and the county awarded the $500,000 in ARPA funds that is going towards this playground project. And so without having people with the know-how to be able to go after specific grants and that sort of thing, you're leaving a lot of money out on the table, essentially. But or even that mural project, that was a grant. So that mural that's down over there at the old block building cost the city, cost about $10,000. And so that was a grant that was written by someone. So there's a lot of opportunities out there if you know some grant writers and they know where to look and that sort of thing.
Sometimes they can, I know it depends highly on the grant, but sometimes they can, if the grant gets approved, they can then pay themselves a small salary from the grant.
Right, yeah. I'm not sure the particulars on payment on that, but it sounds like it would be a pretty decent way to make some money if you know how to do it and know what to look for.
That they would get something for their time, because that's a lot of time.
Exactly, yeah, it is.
Didn't know somebody who was semi-retired or that had, anyway. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's a good
So I
idea.
have a hard question. there is some hard feelings from certain board members and persons on the city. And if you're elected mayor, obviously you're coming in under pretty difficult circumstances. How are you going to navigate that?
Well, honestly, at this point, I look at a lot of things as, and this particular is kind of a clean slate, you know? And so, for me, I don't really harbor any hard feelings towards anybody. Like, my thing is we need to be getting on the same page to be able to get the work done that needs to get done in the city, right? That's gonna be my focus and goal. So, and really, I mean, I think I'm a pretty chill person as a whole. Like I'm, you know, I don't, I mean, I might have disagreements with people over stuff, but at the end of the day, I mean, you know, anytime you're dealing with having to make decisions about money, having to make decisions that affect the organization, you're gonna run into friction over different decisions that are made, and that's just a part of it. But so that's the way I'm gonna approach it.
Any update on the audit?
I don't know, in terms of like signature count or something, or?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not a part of the
Oh,
audit
okay.
initiative, so that would be you'd have to ask them.
So it's still in limbo right now, okay?
I, as far as I know, right, they've gotta, you know, collect the needed signatures in order to be able to, I would assume, submit it to the Secretary of State and, or the auditor, the state auditor, and go from
Okay.
there, so.
The annual audit, was presented at the last Alderman's meeting Monday night, or Wednesday, I guess is when it was. And, the city did receive a clean bill of health from them. They found no issues, no problems.
Does that audit then provide I guess it provides a snapshot of the current funds available and income and
Yes.
outputs, okay.
Did I know that? Okay.
And you can request any you can go to the CFO and you can request just a general, like, information in terms of the city's health on finances and that sort of thing, and she could provide you with different copies if somebody's interested, in looking at that data. I don't have any, concern when it comes to the finances. There's a lot of checks and balances at the city in order to be able to spend any money, so nothing goes through there that isn't tracked and accounted for, and nobody's, you know, there's a separation of duties, right, in accounts payable and accounts receivable department. You've got to have multiple signatures in order to have things done, but obviously a state audit's gonna not just show that side, it's gonna show a multitude of, you know, procedural
Anomalies.
deficiencies if there were any, and that sort of thing. So they go into a much deeper, much broader scope than the city's finances, but I'm pretty confident the city's finances are in good order.
It's not a question, but just a comment. I wanted to say I very much appreciated your professionalism and your just willingness to work, you know, cooperatively and move forward, and on social media and other venues, how you've just been very, taking the high road. I very much appreciate that. That's just so uncommon, unfortunately, anymore, but I really appreciate it. I think it's what our town needs to.
Well, thank you.
Instead of the alternative.
Yeah, well, I do appreciate that. You know, I've got, like I said, this is my home, right? Like trust me, I'm the last person that wants to be on the news for, you know, for anything. So that's not positive for the city, right? Like, and so you know, you also need to be able to respect the position, right? Like as mayor, you are, you know, a leader in the community, and so you need to act accordingly and professionally, and you can't get over emotional about what people say or whatever, because it's a part of it, right? It's part of it. Not everybody's gonna like what you do, but at the end of the day, if you believe in what you do, and you're making the best decision for the city, that's my view on that. So.
And well, I appreciate you serving, because I know it's a lot of hours, and again, you get to experience negativity that a lot of times you don't learn whatsoever, but anyway, but thank you for serving, because I know it's, I feel like you're not doing it for any self-serving purposes, just because you care about the community, so I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Back to the issue of economic development.
Yes.
What do you think is a reasonable amount of time, when you should expect to see a return on investment after a position like that is filled? Now, Mr. Williams was hired in, I think, 2022, so he worked for a little over a year. There was only one project, the Bruco project, that I'm aware of, that he was directly involved in, and we, have seen zero revenue from that yet. He was drawing a pretty good salary, somewhere close to $100,000 a year plus benefits. I don't see that as being a real good return on investment for the city. What are your thoughts?
That's a good question. So when it comes to Willard and economic development, essentially you're starting from scratch, right? We don't have a system in place, and we still have a lot of infrastructure issues that also have to be dealt with. At the same time, being able to create a program for Willard, tax incentives, whatever that might look like, to be able to draw in additional investments. So I do know he was working on a few different projects that, aren't gonna be able to come to fruition at this point. But I would say, and whenever we hired him, we kind of knew that, right? Like, he was very clear with us on the fact that it takes time, right? You don't just wake up and boom, you have new business coming in. You've got to be able to make connections with business owners, and then you have to be able to attract them to your market, and then even then, they've got to be able to make their own decisions, invest that capital. I mean, it's a process, right? So I would say 3 years, 2 to 3 year time frame to, like, obviously you're gonna wanna track that each year, but for instance, let's say, for instance, he was drawing a pretty good salary. He was drawing around $100,000 a year. Let's say in 3 years, we spent $300,000, but as a result of his activity, he brought in an Aldi's and brought in, Bruco or a couple other businesses that long-term, you're gonna make that money back, right? That $300,000 in 3 years might seem like a lot of money in that period, but at the whole grand scheme of things, Willard has about an $8 million annual budget. So in the whole grand scheme of things, if we spend $300,000 for 3 years, and if he's able to attract businesses that are gonna bring a long-term revenue for the city, it pays itself back tenfold. And that's, and that's the idea, but you don't know until we try, right? And the thing is if we don't do anything, I mean, we know what's gonna happen over time. I mean, we've got increased costs, and we've got to be able to, manage that. And we've got communities all around us that are growing, right? You look at, I mean, heck, I went to Marshfield the other day, and they've got, all kinds of businesses there. Republic's growing like crazy. Outer areas of Springfield, all these businesses that are popping up, and we're not getting any of that benefit. And so you're gonna see all these other communities around us keep growing, and if we don't start investing in looking at ways to grow economically, we're just not going to.
What other town, you just mentioned that just right now, what other town around, or just around the outer area, that's same size as Willard, same people, but boom, what would you say? What town would you compare?
Size?
Yeah.
Ozark's a lot larger.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm saying, but that.
Oh, we don't, so it's interesting. So, I hear a lot of times we're compared to, like Republic, right?
Yeah.
But like, Willard's got a population of 6,500 people, and Republic has a population of like almost 20,000, right? It's two very different things. But if you was to go in the past, 20, 30 years ago, they were a lot closer, right, in terms of population. So why is that? Well, Republic, 20 years ago, started putting in place a plan to start developing economically for Republic. And they've got a really good city administrator that was able to make those connections, and Amazon comes and all, just keeps growing and growing and growing, and the population of the Republic is going to benefit from those sales tax revenue on their systems, right? They just built a brand new aquatic center, right? Now, something that Willard didn't do, that I believe Republic did, is they've got a sales use tax for their pool aquatic center, so they're able to continuously make upgrades as the sales tax base grows. But our pool draws off general revenue, so and that's a big issue that we have. A lot of our programs, police department, parks department, there's a lot of transfers from general revenue from that. A lot of departments are having to draw off general revenue funds, and like if you had a sales tax use for the aquatic center, whenever it was originally, it's been years, but whenever it was originally done, over time you could have taken that money and continued to make upgrades to the aquatic center. But now we've got an aging pool, we've got an aging aquatic center, and we still have a big loan that we still have to pay off on that. So we've got to be able to bring in more money that's going to go into general revenue to keep funding the different programs, even the way that they are. So
I was here during the time the pool was done. It was not handled correctly.
yeah, that was an interesting deal. But yeah, that's what that's what I would have done, some type of sales use tax. That way you can continuously make those upgrades, repairs, and it not hit your general revenue so much with that, along with the bond payment and all of those things.
I remember at the time they did a state audit, and they did find that to cover the payments for the pool to keep the city solvent from going bankrupt, they were doing some not illegal things, but they were just moving money out of the general water fund, I think water bill money, and using it to pay the pool, just trying to keep the city afloat, if you pardon the pun, city afloat. Anyway, but yeah, that's, the state audit at the time did uncover that they were doing some unusual processes, again, with good intentions, but then they came up with a better plan after they got the state audit results. The town became aware that the way the funds were being used was certainly non-traditional.
Right, I've read that audit report, but it's been a while. The only thing I could think of is because your water funds, so some of those funds, so let's say you look at the big pie, right, $8 million pie. Well, portion of those funds for like water can't be used for other funds. And so the only thing I could think of there is maybe if they didn't know that and they were taking money out of there, and it was just kind of an unusual, and so the state auditor says, hey, we need to make that correction. But we don't do that now. We've got a really good CFO that's been doing it a while, and she's pretty good with making sure that we're straight on all of that. Anybody else? Debbie?
You know I'm going to.
Here she comes.
I'll make it easy.
All right, good. Whew. Yes, ma'am.
What are you gonna do differently this time that you didn't the last time to get that board on board? How are you gonna build that team and make them all together? Because that's, I know it's not easy.
Right.
If you don't mind, I'd like to follow up and tack onto her question.
Okay.
Recently, I think it was March 26th board meeting, they actually were talking about impeachment already. It was very unusual. It's you can watch the video of it. And at the time I thought, I've never seen anything like this, that even before the election, another election happens, they're already anticipating what they might be thinking of doing. So anyway, to piggyback on your question.
Impeaching him? No.
They were speaking
They were talking
generally.
about impeachment proceedings in general. We don't really have in city code any anything to address that. Well, obviously, the events last fall brought out the need for some kind of a, you know, there needs to be a formal procedure set forth regardless of who's in office. You know, that's, I didn't take that, I took it to be a general discussion.
I saw it differently because it was about a week before the election and it seemed very,
The timing.
inappropriate in my opinion. And there is
You don't think there needs to be an appropriate way to impeach?
it's in the code already, there is an appropriate way to do
There
it.
isn't.
And there wasn't any issue brought up, it was just speaking generally a week before the election, which I found very, it bothered me a lot. I
So
thought
they're
it was,
talking loosely, in other words, loosely.
yeah, talking, just shooting the breeze in a meeting without an actual issue on the agenda, just to talk about it, that didn't make sense to me.
So I'll answer both
Yeah,
questions
sorry
here.
about that.
Okay, so, in terms of being able to build a consensus, is basically what you're asking me, so. The people that I'm gonna be serving with, for the most part, I mean, a few of them I don't really know, like, it's a new board, right? So, that is, for me, it's a fresh perspective, right, like it's gonna be a new board, right? So, new board, clean slate, and it's a matter of talking with people and figuring out what it is that everybody wants, right? Because maybe not everybody wants growth. You know, maybe someone wants us, you know, to stay, you know, small and not, you know, whatever, you know. And that's just that's one example, right? We make a million, Larry, you know this, we make 1,000,001 decisions, right? Overall, right? Different decisions about different things. So, the biggest thing is being able to listen and talk to people, I think, is the biggest thing. With a lot of the controversy from the past, I mean, it all didn't just happen, right?
Right.
I had served on the board for 5 years previously to that. So like, it's kind of just build, right? And that's what you see on the news, right? And so it is what it is. I don't hold any, you know.
Are you gonna go in with the same attitude you did last time, or are you going to listen? That's very important.
That's good. That's a good question. That's a good
And I
question.
don't-
I do appreciate that question. I need people to hold me accountable, right? Whenever they feel that they're not being listened to, right?
Right.
So, I think I have learned quite a bit, right? Even just in the past 7 months, right? There's been a lot of changes in my own life personally. Like I've got, you know, there's a lot of different things that I've.
That's your personal business.
That's my personal thing. So what my point is it's personal development too, right? And so like I think to some degree it humbles you and you become more sensitive and aware to other people's opinions, views, and listening, right? That's why I call this the listening post, right? So to listen, right? So I'm just gonna talk with people and build a consensus, and really we all need to be on the same page, like in terms of being able to be there for the city, right? That's why we're in these jobs. It's not like we're getting paid a bunch of money to go up there and serve, right?
Exactly.
You know,
Thankless, isn't it?
it's so, I mean, the whole point is to be able to better the community, and if we're not doing that, what's the point, right? So that's gonna be how I'm gonna approach that. The impeachment question, so when it comes to the impeachment process, we don't really have anything that's like a process that we go through. It's kind of like, okay, so for instance, they just hired a new law firm, right? And that law firm that they hired is very good whenever it comes to like impeachment proceedings. They actually wrote like a whole article on proper way to do an impeachment. So I think the law firm that we have is good when it comes to actually being able to come up with some language that makes sense from an impeachment standpoint. So I think, I mean, is it a good idea probably to have something in place? Yes, because without it, you kind of have a Wild West sort of thing going on, and this is, you know, we're going to impeach them, and this is what we're going to do, and you know, I talked to several attorneys from all across the state on like the process, like what do you do and that sort of thing. And so I've gotten a lot of opinions from different attorneys and, you know, on that matter. But yeah, so I think something probably should be in our statutes that spell that out.
There was an issue, you're talking about law firm, the person, who's that person that was involved?
She's no longer involved.
Okay, yeah, but she worked for a law firm, I don't know if it was the same law firm that they hired or not, or.
I don't know what your question, what was your question?
Okay, never mind, I just.
Okay.
It was the last meeting, I mean, one of the meetings we went to, that she actually spoke out that person that was involved a while back in something, that she worked for a law firm and they were, I don't know if it's the same law firm that you're saying they're hiring, but it could be.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Falsification of residency of a candidate situation.
Okay, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Okay.
I appreciate the questions, guys, I really do. So,
They weren't so bad, were they?
yeah, they weren't that bad. So,
So the 11/18, and it's still the tie on, right? It's from the tie.
yes, correct, yep, so.
I don't have a coin.
So,
for it.
yeah, I got no idea how it's gonna turn out. I'm pretty at peace with it at this point, with whatever the people will choose. Obviously, you know, I wanna be able to continue serving, but it's up to the people, and I'm gonna be okay with whatever decision they make at this point, so, yeah.